Well, it's a big day for Truro City Football Club and the Cornish Pirates Rugby Football Club because they're teaming up. I'm not going to say any more because I'm going to leave that to the Truro City chairman, Peter Masters, and Alex Black, who's representing the Pirates, in a few moments. But this is a momentous deal which could secure the future for both clubs. Let's join Peter Masters first. Pete, the chairman of Truro City. Why have you suddenly decided to sell the club, and in particular to the Cornish Pirates?
Well, it's no secret 18 months ago that Philip Piran wanted to sell his interest in the club or hand his interest over. Since that time, we've had several offers for the club, right from £1 to whatever, all of which, but we couldn't really find us, or I couldn't find a suitable partner. Following on from that, our interest was shown by Dickie Evans from the Pirates. As you know, we've got a deal going with the stadium for Cornwall, and this buying of this club, coupled with the stadium for Cornwall, ensured that the stadium for Cornwall was going forward, and indeed the future of Truro City Football Club. It's no secret this ground was sold, 7 years ago, by my predecessor, and this really seals the deal for me that the club has got a future, which is great.
So, what is the future for Truro City with the Cornish Pirates on board? How will this deal work?
Well, I think Alex will explain that further from his side of it. From my side, it ensures that the football club goes forward, playing in Cornwall at the Stadium for Cornwall, and it has a future. I mean, we are talking to a stadium out there which can hold up to 10,000 people eventually. So it's a great future for Cornish football and indeed Truro City. As you know, we've been here 7 years, and it's been a long, hard 7 years for myself and Philip Piran. And I feel that we've done a reasonable job, and I'm now confident that we're handing it over to new owners who will take the thing on from where we're leaving it.
Of course, the Stadium for Cornwall project is still to get off the ground, and the first diggers yet to move in. That, of course, is dependent on money from central government and, of course, from Truro City FC. I mean, in your case, £2 million. When do you expect all this money to get together, Peter? Well,
I think this part of it really does seal the deal. Heading it all up is obviously the Pirates, Dickie Evans, and part of securing the remaining finance in the Stadium for Cornwall is linked around the sale of this club to Dickie Evans. So the whole package works, and that's why I'm confident that the stadium will be built, and I'm confident there will be a future for Truro City Football Club in that stadium, and I'm confident that the Pirates will be playing a very active part and playing up in the Stadium for Cornwall, along with the college to do what they need to do. So it's a great deal. Yeah, okay. If you look at the whole package, you could say there's been some disappointments during my 7 years, but really, I'm happy that we are now where we are, and I'm happy to hand it over to the Pirates and Dickie Evans with confidence.
Well, let's bring in Alex Black here, who is not connected with the Cornish Pirates per se, but you are a consultant from your Sport First Agency Limited, which is based in Birmingham. Alex, who approached who?
Well, I think, I'm trying to just remember the exact details of it all, but I think it was well known that Truro City were looking for extra investment. I think Pep was keen to reduce his role in it, and I think it's you've got to give a lot of credit to Pete and the other people involved in the club who've been working around the clock in difficult circumstances, and to run a club up at this level of football in Tier 6, it's a massive commitment, and it's a lot of effort goes on. And I think probably for Pete, I don't want to speak for him, I think he was probably ready for some extra help to come in and a bit of infrastructure maybe coming in around that. So he wasn't having to shoulder the whole burden himself.
So how does a rugby club and a football club, how do they marry each other? How will this marriage work?
Well, I mean, hopefully it'll work very well. I think it shows the confidence in the Pirates' clear hopes that the Stadium for Cornwall is going to get built. made a substantial investment in purchasing Truro City, and they want it to be a success. They've got a commitment to sport in Cornwall. They've got a confidence in what we have to do and what will happen for the infrastructure, of which the stadium's a massive part of it.
Are you willing, either of you, willing to reveal how much you paid for the purchase of Truro City?
Well, even if we were willing, there's a lot of contracts in place which prevent that. So I don't think that's important. I think everybody's put together a good deal, and the most important thing about this wasn't really about the money. It's really about finding the right people to take the club forward. We believe we are, and hopefully Pete does too.
Yeah. Does that mean the Cornish Pirates will be actually running Truro City, or will you stay on board as a director?
No, I will be running the club to the end of the season, and then I'll be standing down and handing it over. There's a great infrastructure down at the Pirates, so really the club will benefit immediately. Now, during the next couple of months, I will be working along with Alex to ensure that the team is secured for next season going forward, and then I will be sort of standing back and probably then going to other places. Obviously, I've got the independent newspaper, which is heavily involved with sport, so I really like to give that a bit of attention now and take that forward. So I'll still be involved with Cornish sport and all sport across the southwest, and looking forward to it.
So who will be running Truro City?
That's basically a question for Alex.
Look, there'll be two separate entities. Obviously, we're going to take advantage of the infrastructure that's at the Cornish Pirates, as Pete has said. But Truro will have to be able to stand on its own 2 feet, and it will have its own staff, its own board of directors, and everything in place in order to run that. And that's the best way for it to go forward.
So you will be actually relinquishing the reins completely at the end of the season?
Absolutely. That will be
and
it for
Philip
me.
Perriman?
And Philip Perriman. Will we both be, I'd say, walking away from the club? Yes, we will be. But it will still be in our hearts. We'll still come here. We'll still come to watch matches as and when. But it's now down, I said, to the new owners to really build up the infrastructure, build up the support base. I mean, that's very important, supporters. I mean, as you said, we took over the club 7 years ago. It was very fragmented then with supporters and all the infrastructure. We have basically just kept the thing alive and kept it going forward. The emphasis of keeping the team in the National League South, that's been very important to us. Probably at the consequence of other things, i.e. supporters, youth, women's football and all that other. But our prime objective was to keep this team playing in the National League South, which was important not just for Cornish football, but also important for the ground and the level we were playing at for various legal reasons. So it's we just had to keep it in this league, and we've done that. And the consequence of getting that done is that we can play our part in the Stadium for Cornwall going forward.
What happens to this site, gentlemen, at Truro Road? Because obviously Truro City actually played at Torquay United's ground for the first half of this season. Now, they've got a bit of leeway and they came back here. So what happens at the end of the season to this site?
Well, as it stands at the moment, this will be the home of Truro City going forward. But it's common knowledge that Truro City doesn't own the ground. That's owned by a development company, and obviously at some point they're gonna develop it and try and recoup their money that they've spent on it. What we have to ensure is that if Truro City is leaving Truro Road, that it's got somewhere to go. It's got a home. In the temporary time, if that happens before the Stadium for Cornwall's built, obviously the long-term home is going to be the Stadium for Cornwall, and that's going to be a fantastic new facility, here in Truro. So it's going to be, brilliant for the fans and everybody, I think.
You are, when I say you, the rugby club, they're the primary tenants of the Stadium for Cornwall. Now, Truro City will be paying rent, I presume, for the next, when it's built anyway, for 5 years, a peppercorn rent for 5 years. Is that going to be the case, when you actually team up?
I mean, I think you get, sorry, Pete, but I think we're getting into into sort of intricacies and nitty gritty about the stadium. There's still a lot of work to go forward on that one. I think, this is really about securing the future of Truro City, and there is going to be a long-term home for it, and there's going to be a lot of work in the meantime as well. But on the whole, I think the future looks bright for it.
Yeah, and I think having a one common owner of the football club and the Pirates, I mean, it's the interest of the owner to make sure that both clubs go forward, and that's the important thing. You mentioned the sort of investment that the Pirates have put into the football club at this stage. I've said we're not at liberty to tell you what the purchase price was, but I can tell you it wasn't £1, and it represents a substantial investment. Yeah, some of it eye-watering. So at the end of the day, it's I'm confident by the sort of sums that we're talking about, the investment is truly being made into the football club. And so it should be. I mean, Truro City is a very big part of Cornwall and Cornish football, so it's a flagship, and it's only right that it should be playing it at the stadium and have a big part of it all.
And finally, Alex, we know the Pirates' ambitions is to become a Premiership rugby club. You know, once they've gone into a stadium which is requisite to the criteria that the Premiership authorities require. What's your vision for Truro City?
Well, I mean, I think that, you know, we have to be careful that we don't make wild promises to the fans, which are not going to, you know, be very difficult to follow through. But I think what we can say is, you know, that we all want the club to be playing at the level that it is as a minimum. That's where we want it to be. And, you know, if we get the structure right, and we can get the fans on board supporting it, we want this club to go to the highest level where we can take it.
Yeah, and I've always said that the football club can be bigger than Cornish rugby. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, there's a massive potential here. We've just got to look at Plymouth Argo and how many Cornish supporters could go to that match. Just imagine Truro City playing in league. What a thought, and that's always been my ambition. But unfortunately, I couldn't reach that because we didn't have a football ground. But with the stadium being built, sky's the limit. So onwards and upwards.